Hi. I've been thinking lately, based on the news and some other things that are going on, it's getting a little harder to be a Christian. Have you had that experience yourself? Have you ever had that experience before? I want to share an experience with you from a number of years ago. Um, I wanted to volunteer at an emergency room. I had a medical background, but it was in doing medical transcription. So mostly what I knew were terms. But I got this kind of plum assignment as a volunteer in an emergency room in a trauma center. Very, very interesting. Going in, I didn't proclaim that I was a Christian, but it was about a year into my service there that I ran into somebody who was a member of my denomination. She had chosen to leave church, but we made a connection, and it was delightful. It really was. And then I sensed that there was a little bit of a test going on, not only from her, but from others, because I had by then proclaimed that I was a Christian. I had tried to do everything that God would want me to do in that position, take the high road on things. It's an interesting environment, doctors, nurses, technicians, ambulance folks. It's exciting, and at the same time, it's very sad. And there is joy too. But one day I reported for duty, and at that time we only lived 10 minutes from the hospital. So I could be there at any time, and they gave me the freedom to do that. But this particular day, there was almost like a cloud. You know what I'm talking about? Not the kind of cloud that's in the sky, but kind of a cloud over the whole atmosphere. And the ambulance had brought in this poor soul from the church, or from not the church, but from the streets. And when I say poor soul, I mean this was as bad as it got. She was dirty beyond dirty. She was wounded, but they couldn't get to her. They couldn't get to her wounds because of the filth that she had lived in. So this individual that I knew said, I think this would be a good test for you. Let's have you gown up and go into the shower room, and I want you to clean this person. And I said, sure, fine. I had no idea what I was getting into, none whatever. I'll spare you the details because they were not pleasant. But I took care of this lady. She was nonverbal, but she looked at me a couple of times, and I could see that there was some thankfulness in her eyes. It turned out that the person who came in didn't look like anything like the person was under all the dirt. She had blonde hair and blue eyes, and she was much, much younger than she looked. So I did my job and brought her out, handed her over to one of the nurses. And at that moment, it came to me that that was the test. They wanted to see if I walked the walk and talked the talk. Was I a Christian in name only, or was I a Christian who would serve others? At that moment, I passed the test. God be praised, because it was not a pleasant test. Do you find yourself in that situation sometimes where you feel like you're being tested? A.W. Tozer wrote a book called let's see, I have to remember. It's called A Cloud by Day and Fire by Night. Remember the trip that the Israelites took when they left Egypt? They were led by a cloud by day and a fire by night. And there's just a little piece of this particular chapter that he wrote that I'd like to share with you. When God sends us to do something for Him, He always empowers us to do it. And this is where obedience comes from. I can only obey God when I know what He wants me to do. I may not understand all of the implications of what He wants me to do at the time, but I understand that He wants me to do something. And if He wants me to do something, He will give me the power and ability to do that something. I think we all need to be doing things above our personal human ability. We need to rise above it and begin living in the power of the Holy Spirit. We need to be doing work not that we are capable of doing, but work that can only come through the power of the Holy Spirit in our lives. I hope today you'll find a work to do, a work that God has been giving you suggestions, pleadings. He's been entering your dreams and your thoughts. Follow Him. Keep your eyes on Jesus, the author and finisher of your faith.